Howdy folks, it's Glenn with the almost world famous Cactus Atlas, and holy crap, it's hot. I'm in Big Bend National Park, straddling the border of the US and Mexico along the Rio Grande River, and we're going to explore a couple places here today. Saddle up. All right, so our first destination today is actually the Rio Grande River, and some history and a half-mile long trail that you can see at the other end of the parking lot that should take us straight towards Mexico. And I believe if you look on the horizon, that's absolutely Mexico. We're at the last reaches of the United States in West Texas. Yeah, this area is supposed to take us right down to the Rio Grande River. There's supposed to be a hot spring that borders the river. I've heard it's great for soaking, to heal, and then maybe to get hot and then jump in the Rio Grande River. I'm not sure if that's recommended, but I'm excited just to see the border between US and Mexico. The Rio Grande is a natural border, but there is no wall here. In this area of Texas. I don't think they need it, to be honest with you, because this is such a hot and treacherous region that for folks to try to cross over on foot into the US with no access to a major interstate system like Interstate 10, I don't think you're gonna have illegals rushing the border over here. Nothing to really worry about. I'm not worried. So let's go explore. So that bridge and trail down there is our destination, and we're gonna walk about a half mile to this hot spring, and we'll see if we see anything along the way. So before we get started, I noticed this structure, this historic structure at the top of the hill by the parking lot. And there's supposed to be several historic structures in this area. There's another interesting view of this structure. Is it like this old fireplace? So I'm guessing this was like a house or maybe a guest house or something back in the day. Who knows? And here are the remnants of another structure. This looks like it's adobe brick, probably very old, some kind of plaster or concrete. Did have concrete slabs, it looks like there, but it's old adobe brick here in Texas. I'm excited. We don't really venture out all the way out here to Texas because we are a southwestern channel. I do consider this part of the Southwest. I think it is. West Texas reminds me a lot about areas that I'm from, like out west, like Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, and we're in the Chihuahuan Desert, not my usual stomping grounds, which is the Sonoran Desert, but it is hot. Oh my God, it's hot. I'm staying at Chizos Basin, which is a little cooler, I think, and up in the mountains. And Carr said it was 100 degrees exactly, but it feels more than that. And it looks like most folks are leaving, so I might actually get this thing to myself. And here's some info. Half-mile round trip, about 10 feet of elevation gain, and there's a picture of some dude hanging out at the hot spring right on the Rio Grande. And we're here, and I think this is where we want to go. That's the United States. This is Mexico. So this is the old post office. Really cool structure. Really well preserved too. Almost 100 years old. Here's some good information about the structures here. So the one right in front of us was a post office and a store. Looks like it was built in 1927. And that house we saw at the top of the hill was built by Charles Livingston. So that was like personal living quarters, number one. And then this is the thing we're about to see, and they even had like a motor court. This place was hopping back in the day. I'm gonna go in there to get some shade and let my camera cool down. And there's my main camera that I use, and I'm having to keep it in the shade because it's overheating, it's so hot. When you film in 4K, that's one of the challenges, is your camera overheating in the sun. And boy is it. I probably can film like in 30-second spurts. All right, we're inside of this old post office. And this is cool. You could still see a lot of the original plaster on the walls. Looks like they probably rebuilt the ceiling here. There's like an old painting on the wall over there, which I'm gonna assume is original. This is really cool. There's the motor court. So here's a picture of what it used to look like. And here's what it is today. And they say that they charged $1 a room per day or $6 for a week. And they also charged 25 cents for a soak in the spring. So people came here for the health benefits they claim that the springs provide. But let's go get a closer look at this motor court. You know, I dig it. Looking at the old picture, there would have been like a porch structure above me with poles. Saw people like hanging their clothes out to dry, because I think back then you wouldn't have had washers and dryers most likely. Maybe you just go down by the river and wash your clothes, I don't know. Really cool. There's some old like supports or screws up there. And the rooms are modest and tiny, but what else do you really need? We'll peek into a window here, see what we can see. It's hard with all this chicken wire because the camera wants to focus on that and not in there, but you could see each room had like a door that went out behind, up against that cliff. It's actually nice and cool here in the shade, to be honest. My camera doesn't think so, but I'm guessing they did some restoration maybe. That looks pretty fresh up there to me, but the walls and stuff look original for sure. All right, this is kind of awkward. If I put my hand here, there we go. You could still see murals painted on the walls in here. Excuse my hand, but that's what I gotta do to get it to focus on that and not the chicken wire. Isn't that cool? Each room seems to have its own little motif. Put my hand there to block out the sun and try to focus on that better. How neat. Most of the rooms seem to have this. I mean, I could dig it. I'm not really into the hot springs thing. Maybe I should be, but just hanging out down here is good enough for me. It's kind of pretty back here with those cliffs over there, so it would have been quite the retreat. But I guess folks back in the olden times, probably the 1920s into the 30s, like to come down and hang out here. And for $1 a night per room, but I'm sure $1 back then was a lot more than it is today. There's a sign indicating to keep an eye out for signs of the past. Petroglyphs and pictographs left by natives that lived in this area probably hundreds of years ago, and sure enough, there you have it. So petroglyphs are chipped into the rock, and we oftentimes see that where natives would chip into the desert veneer on stones and use the contrast to draw pictures. Pictographs are what you see behind me, where they actually use some kind of pigment to paint into the rock. If you look carefully, there's little faint markings of what I believe are pictographs, these orange-red stains on the wall. And I'm guessing the homesteader, the people that ran the thing, built these stairs, I'm guessing, leading up here to viewing. Interestingly though, I don't see much. It's hard to discern the pictographs over here. But if we look up above, look at that. And then maybe more up on the wall, I'm not sure. I don't think those are just stains in the sedimentary rock. That's what this looks like to me. But that there, that looks like a genuine pictograph. And now we're just following this sandy trail to the hot springs. I'm not sure if that's the Rio Grande right there. I don't think it is. There is water flowing. Maybe I'm wrong, but what I can tell you is it is scorching, scorching, scorching. That sun burns. And we found it, folks. Here's the remnants of an old bathhouse, and this is the geothermal hot spring. It runs at 105 degrees Fahrenheit, or 41 degrees Celsius, and I could see water bubbling up, and it's reputed to have salts in it that's restorative, and it's supposed to restore your health. You are allowed to soak in it, and then that should be the Rio Grande River, and that should be Mexico, right there. Isn't that crazy? I'm at the edge of the United States of America, looking straight on at Mexico. So I'm not gonna go full on in, but I'm gonna stick my feet in this thing and see how hot it is. Hopefully it's not running hotter than 105. Oh my God, it's hot. It actually kind of burns a little, but it's actually not bad. But since it's already so hot out here now, like it just feels like hot water. It's actually kind of nice. You could see where the geothermal water is coming from, and this is deeper here. You can see my feet. It almost sounds like sizzling, but it's just the sound of the rocks being churned at the bottom there. I have to say this is my first geothermal hot spring of all time. I've never done this before. It's really meant for sitting and soaking in all the salt and the hot water. The homesteader that found this claimed that he was healed in like 27 days of soaking or something like that, according to a sign up there. But anyway, yeah, it actually feels kind of nice. It really strangely does, despite how hot it is on my feet. My feet are sore from hiking. The next thing I want to do is walk to the Rio Grande in this hot water, which is still very warm and hot, 105 degrees. The temperature is probably about 105 degrees. And I'm gonna go down to the Rio Grande and stick my feet in there and see if that is colder. I would expect it would be. This is the science portion, folks, hot and cold. Okay, it's cooler, but I wouldn't say it's cool. That's pretty warm. And I don't know if this is dirty water or not, but it's definitely cooler than the hot spring. And this river right here, the Rio Grande, is all that separates me from Mexico. An unprotected section of the border. Some of my friends and coworkers said, "Hey Glenn, aren't you worried going down there? You know, aren't you scared? You're gonna get shot or something?" I mean, you guys tell me, come on. I mean, there's nobody here other than tourists. This is the stream that apparently Pecos Bill created when he and his horse or mule needed water. And on the other side, I think, is a national park in Mexico. It's not like where people actually live. I think it's protected land also. And apparently these hot springs, or this hot spring, is one of the most popular attractions here at Big Bend. I'm here in mid-May where it's really hot, so I'm guessing in the wintertime, yeah, I could see this being a popular spot when it's cooler out. But right now, I would say it's not popular for obvious reasons. It's so hot. In fact, now that I'm just kind of acclimating my feet to the temperature, there's little difference, I think, between the temperature where my feet are and the heat here, other than the breeze up in the air that's helped keeping me a little cool now down by the river, but not much of a difference. I'm gonna do something interesting here. I'm gonna start a new tradition. I'm gonna skip a rock across the Rio Grande into a new country. I haven't skipped a rock in a long time. Okay, our second destination today on this tour, we'll call it the tour of the US-Mexico border, is something called Boquillas Canyon. We were just at Boquillas Hot Springs, so it goes by the same name. I'm not even sure who it's named after or what that word means. It probably is a word, but this is about a 1.5 mile long hike that's supposed to go give us some really good overlooks of the Rio Grande River and then descend down into the canyon. And Boquillas Canyon is supposed to be a spectacular sight, so I think it's going to take us to the foot of the canyon, and I think it's supposed to be really dramatic scenery. And to commemorate, I guess, the US-Mexico border and the exploration thereof, I'm gonna have a little bit of America, a little ham and cheese sandwich, and a little bit of Mexico, a lime jarritos. So I'm paying respects to both, but let me try this lime jarritos. I've never had lime before. Ooh, it's very limey in a good way. Let me show you something here, folks. You see that? That is what I'm talking about. Okay, so the Boquillas Canyon Trail, just to give you an idea here, we're in USA, and you can see the trail stays in the US and it goes right down by the river. But once again, just to prove to you that Rio Grande is the divider between US and Mexico in an unprotected border. So, and you can kind of get a glimpse at what the canyon looks like. So let's go check it out. All right, this is the start of the trail. Unless I see something really worthwhile on the way there, I'm gonna shut down the camera so I don't kill the camera nor myself. Actually, we already see something cool there though. See that river down there? That's the Rio Grande. So that's Mexico right there. That's all that stands between us and Mexico. Here I come. And here on a trail, you'll see more what the government would call contraband, what I would call some nice wares. If you want some Mexican souvenirs, it's an honor system. You can see they want $10 for those shot glasses and mugs and some hand-sewn stuff. Boquillas, Mexico. And there's the Rio Grande down below. US on this side, Mexico on that side. And you got some other folks coming. You can actually see some goats down at the bottom. I've seen pictures and video of wild horses down here, and I may have spotted a wild horse down below. I know I said I wasn't gonna film so much on the hike, but this is so beautiful that I kind of have to here. The Rio Grande. I'm on the US side. Don't worry. We haven't crossed over yet. And over this way, I'm sure of it, is gonna be Boquillas Canyon. We're already descending, so I think we did our 110 feet of elevation gain already. But isn't that so cool? 2 countries. I read that Boquillas Canyon is like one of the most dramatic, with the highest cliffs of the canyons in this area. And we're gonna make a different video on Santa Elena Canyon, which is a very popular, well-known spot that you'd probably recognize. Not doing that in this video, by the way. This is all about straddling the border. Although that does too, I should say. But we're kind of on the, I guess the east, like southeast section of the park, if I'm remembering it correctly. So, this is crazy though. So big. That is huge, and the scale will not be conveyed on video. You just have to be here to see it. I think we're down in the canyon proper now. And that's the US on the left, and Mexico on the right. Here's the Rio Grande, US soil and Mexican soil. This is very picturesque back here. This is beautiful. And I'm still loving the fact that this river is the separator between 2 completely different countries. Wild, open the way it should be. And very quiet and peaceful. Don't tell me I don't take you to the best places. For all the drama the politicians make of unprotected borders and stuff, even if somebody sneaked through here once in a while, I mean, which I think is doubtful considering how inhospitable the surrounding areas are, who cares? Like, this is just so nice, so peaceful. Burn this, if I could do anything today for you guys, burn this into your heads. And tell me if you want a gigantic wall here. And I'm not trying to start a political debate or take any side on that debate. All I'm saying is, I'm kind of representing the naturalist point of view, those who want to preserve natural beauty and stuff. So that's where I'm coming from. And I'm willing for some trade-offs for that. It's really, to me, you know, the question is it worth the trade-offs? And from what I can tell, now that I'm here to see it for myself, I absolutely think it is. Alrighty folks, I think in the air condition of my vehicle is the appropriate place to part ways with you. We explored history, we explored geology, we explored natural beauty, we explored the unprotected border between the US and Mexico. What else could you ask for, folks? I mean, this is an action-packed episode, and I hope to bring you more from this region one day soon, but until then, adios amigos.